There is one mistake that I have noticed in the last few weeks as I've talked to 10 different business owners that they're all making that's causing their businesses to tank. And I want to make sure you're not making that same mistake. And that is you don't have defined core values. No. Before you think, oh no, this is just another one of those talks about core values. Nobody cares. That's not what I'm not talking about the core values that you see that people write up at some point in time and they put up on a wall and no one ever looks at. I'm not talking about the core values that people have and then your employees think, man, we violate those every single day. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about some aspirational things that you hope for and wish for. No. That's not what I'm talking about. That's what core values have been. That's what people do it and it's just an activity. But the reality is your core values, these are things that you live by that every decision is based on that govern the way you move, not just you, but everyone in your company. And you see, when you don't have solidly defined core values that everyone knows, your company is doomed for failure. Right. So a couple of the business owners that I talked to, I asked them, they came to me because they were having delegation issues, right? And they're having challenges with their team. And so one of the first questions I asked is, okay, based on the stories you're telling me, what are the core values of your company? Because I clearly saw that there were some violations in terms of the stories that they were saying. Okay. And a few of the business owners said, and you could see them thinking about the answer of what their core values were. Several of the other business owners, when I asked that question, they said, "Well, we have values of this, and that." And then I asked them, "Okay, so tell me, does your staff know those values?" Well, I mean, we talked about them at some point. Oh, you talked about them at some point. Okay, and then other business owners, they said, "Yeah, I've got values, and these are my values, but I didn't share them with anybody. This is just what I live by." All three of those states are failure states. All three are failure states. So let's talk about your core values and why they're so important, and then how you can actually define them if you don't currently have them. Okay. So, number one, the core values are super, super important because, as I said, they define how everything gets done. You evaluate things based on your core values. You evaluate opportunities that come to your business, clients that you take, people that you hire, even the actions that your employees take based on your core values. Let me give you an example. Okay. We have a core value that we call curiosity is king. So you must be curious. You must ask questions. You must be curious about things. And then, so that's one. And then we have another one that is perfect the system. And so we're always getting better. So we're asking questions and we're getting better. We're making the system better, right? Two of our five core values. Now, a few years ago, about 3 years or so ago now, we had a young lady on staff, and she was being curious and looking at how she could do her job better. And she found a tool that could help her do her job better. And she went and started using the tool to do her job better. And in the process, got two long-standing clients, Instagram channels banned. Okay, that's not good. Now, when we realized the channels got banned and we realized why they got banned, she expected to get fired. And most people would expect to get fired. But as we sat and we talked with her and we learned what she did, why she did it, how she did it, etc., we saw she was in line with our core values. Now, the action that she took had a negative result, but she took that action in line with our core values. Number one, we did not fire her. Number two, we praised her. And number three, a couple months later, we gave her a raise. Yeah. You see, everything must line up with your core values. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be perfect. But when you evaluate everything based on your core values and you say, okay, this is why we did it, and it lines up with why we know we do things because of our core values, then you say, all right, we were on the right path. We may have taken the wrong action, but we did it for the right reasons. See, and that's what your core values allow you to do. It allows you that freedom to actually be able to exist and have other people that around that you can trust and know you're doing things and you're going to be doing things in line with our values. And so I don't have to worry about what you're doing. Is it always going to be right? No. But you know what their intention behind it was. And that's the key. That's the key. You see, we keep measuring the outcome. We keep measuring the outcome. And is the outcome good or bad? And very often we forget the process and see, did we take this action for the right reasons? Because the same thing happens on the other side. Sometimes we have really great outcomes, but we had a really poor process. We had process that violated the core values. Okay? So another example of that was we had a young lady that worked for us many, many years ago, and she was amazing. Absolutely, absolutely amazing at what she did. Brilliant at what she did. Okay. Did it really, really well. Our number one core value is relationships over everything else. She did it really, really, really well. But then the team comes to me and says, but she's throwing us under the bus and she's not taking into account anything that we're doing. And this is a really bad working relationship. So we had to let her go. We had to let her go. And I'll be honest with you, we've not hired anyone as good until recently, actually, at what she did. So for a couple of years, we were lacking. But she violated our core values. And so she had to go. She had to go. Didn't matter that her outcomes were great. Didn't matter that she produced really well. You violated our core values. You had to go. So that's why core values are so important. They help you evaluate what's going on and know that you're moving in the right path and know that everyone is moving in the right path and moving together. But now, how do you get there? How do you actually create your core values? Well, let me start you here. You've got to ask yourself some questions. And here's the thing. As a business owner, your core values for your company come out of you because you have to live your core values. And so you can't go creating core values for your company that are opposite of who you are because then you can't live it. It's not possible. They have to grow out of you as a small business owner. Okay. So here are three questions that you should ask yourself as you're starting to build your core values. Okay. All right. What must be true in your relationship with your family? So, what must be true? What kind of things must be true in that relationship? In other words, maybe in your relationship with your family, right? Some of the things that must be true is you must spend time with them, quality time with them. Maybe some of the things that must be true in your relationship with your family is a level of respect because you're so very different. Okay. What are some of the things that must be true with your family? Now, think about your immediate family in your household. Think about with your parents or your siblings, right? You don't have to think about a distant cousin. All right, we're not going that far. But what are some of the things that must be true in those relationships? That's your family. Then the next question is what must be true in the relationships with your friends? With your friends. Okay. And Look at it and be honest with yourself. This is the key. You must be honest with yourself. I remember, with my wife and looking at this. One of the things with her in some, not all, in some of the relationships with her friends was she realized she was the one who drove relationships, and that was something that was true for her. She was going to be the one that put in the work to drive the relationship. Okay. All right. What are some of the things that must be true in your relationships with your friends? Then the third question is, what must be true in the relationships with your customers? And again, this is not aspirational. This is not, oh, I wish it would be great if. Let's be practical and real. What must be true in these relationships? What is the truth of that? Right? What is the truth? What must be true in those relationships with your customers? Now, as you're answering these questions and as you're writing this stuff down, what you may start to see is that there are some commonalities of things that are true between the three relationships. You may start to see themes and patterns start to emerge between the three relationships. And so we want to start to pull some of those out and look at those a little bit closer. Okay. We want to look at those a little bit closer and we want to ask ourselves this question: why is that so important? Why is that so important? Okay. Now, in asking yourself, why is that so important? Then you start to get to the underlying of what's really driving you. What's really making that something that's a requirement for you. Okay. That's what you want to ask yourself there. Why is that so important? Now, you may have to ask yourself why, and then ask yourself why again, depending on the answers that you get. Because you may give yourself an answer and you say, I don't know about that. Ask yourself, okay, so why is that so important? And dig and dig and dig until you get to something that is actually core. That is actually core. You say, yep, that's it. Yep, that's it. Okay. When you're defining your core values, you ideally, I'm not going to tell you what you have to do. Ideally, you're looking for 3 to 5 core values. Once you have those, you have to embody them and live them every day with your team, with your staff, with your customers. You have to live those, and you have to share these constantly with your staff. Constantly. Constantly. You have to get buy-in from your staff, and the people on your staff who don't buy in, they need to go. Doesn't matter how good they are. They need to go. Only keep people who are aligned 100% with your core values. If they're not, they need to go, and they need to go now. I know that's hard, but it's the truth. And then when you start to rehire, we put core values in job descriptions. We talk about core values in interviews. We talk about core values in onboarding. We vision core values. We're always talking about core values. We weave core values into team meetings. Keep it at the forefront. We want everyone to know, yes, yes, I embody, I believe. And if that changes, we want them to say, we had a young lady who quit a couple months ago. And the reason she quit was, I realized I cannot live these core values anymore because my priorities in my life have changed. Great. Fantastic. Thank you. That's the point. That's the point. So don't be like those 10 business owners I've talked to in the last 3 weeks. If you don't have your core values, put a stake in the ground right now and define your core values and go share them with your team now. Start it right now. Go do it. If you need more help, let me know. We've got resources that can help in our Triaxis community. Just let us know. We would love to help you, but you've got to start now. If you don't have truly defined core values start right now.